Free thinkers, we're free. Here's what we do. We can take some classes, affect the masses. There's no excuse. You've been loosed.
This is From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Each week, Janice shares her wisdom to enlighten, educate, and advance the culture in America today. Janice Pons is a mother, author, and free thinker, and your host for our podcast this evening. Now let's join your host, Janice Pons.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Come on in. Come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Janice Pons. I am the host on this show, on this podcast, From Destruction to Dignity, Clinical Perspectives, Spiritual Truths. You know my heart by now. Yes, as we flow together in this more perfect union. Flowing together as one. That's what that means. A more perfect union is us flowing together as one in our great country of the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America. My heart is to provoke thought, bring awareness, and point us together as we collectively hook up, unite, flow together, support each other together to be the great Americans that we are. God is not done with this country. You know why? I'm still here. You are still here. The ones of you who are commenting, thank you. I am so grateful for you. Thank you for the thousands of followers that have been following me on social media and your support, your prayers, your encouragement, your love. Listen, this month of September, you know what we're doing? We're diving into addiction. And, you know, the last podcast we talked about the specificity of women who are dying early. Huge increase in our Native American women. Huge increase in women across the board who are dying early, 24 to 28 years prematurely from the life expectancy of a healthy woman. That's not acceptable to me, because I know it's all subject to change, because it's preventable. So speaking of things that are preventable in this amazing nation of ours, that is represented by our flag, that's represented by our seal. This is our seal. That White House that's on Pennsylvania Avenue, that's our house. They work for us. Did you hear me? Yeah. They work for us. It's not about us being there for them. Yeah, we're there for them, to support them, to pray for them, and we'll vote for them. And you know what? We can determine who's going to be running this thing on Capitol Hill, because they need to know that we're vocal. They need to know that we're watching. They need to know that we are involved, and they need to know that we're concerned. We're concerned about them because they're citizens, but they work for us. We cannot forget that. Because we are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And when all are affected by all in this world are affected by what goes on in America. Yes. Now, y'all know I love children. Love me some children. I'm a mama. I'm a Blue Star mom as well. I take that incredibly serious. I've worked as a teacher, school psychologist, therapist with young children who were in an inpatient psychiatric hospital setting. That's how ravaged they were from abuses. On and on and on. God has privileged me and honored me to do so many things. But I'm speaking to you tonight as a fellow American. And I want to appeal to us to pay attention. We are losing our children through being poisoned. Tonight, we're going to dive in, and we're going to talk about the poisoning of children with liquid nicotine. That's going on in our nation. So preventable. Can you imagine the loss, the grief, the degradation, and even the shame and the guilt that a parent may end up dealing with when they have a child that ends up dying from being poisoned by liquid nicotine? There's an increasing number of children being poisoned by liquid nicotine. And we're going to dissect some very specific facts thereof because it's preventable. If we are endeavoring to support each other, to form a more perfect union, flowing together as one, as represented by our flag and our seal and our house, and we, the people, and them on Capitol Hill working for us, we can even put pressure on them about certain laws. And we're going to get into that in a minute. But if we're not aware, we might be in a position where we don't even know what we need to be questioning them about, or even talking to our senators about bills that they can propose. Children are dying unnecessarily in our nation. Thousands of children are being exposed to the dangers of liquid nicotine in e-cigarettes each year. And the number of exposures are at an all-time high. And in 2022, it really skyrocketed. There we go. There's that 3-year period of time. It's just like we've been out of control. We've been out of control. Awareness brings us in. Oh, I need to be paying attention. Yeah, you need to watch your kids. We talked about fentanyl, babies that are having, little children under 3 years old having seizures. Why? They got to touch somebody's fentanyl patch. And then they rub their eyes. They put their hands in their mouth. Then they were in trouble. Doctors saw a real increase. Let me tell you what happened. It was in 2016 when a law was formulated that was aimed at lowering the risk contained in what was going on related to e-cigarettes. And here's the law that was put in place. There was a flaw in this law, and they discovered it after the law was put in place. The law is called the Child Nicotine Poisoning Prevention Act. It required child-resistant packaging on vaping liquid. I remember when the vaping came out, and it was so cool. And people were thinking that it was an intervention to help them stop smoking cigarettes. When I saw that thick smoke, and I saw the whole ritual, and you can get addicted to rituals. There are people that get addicted with just tapping noises, a cigarette pack. Tapping. I've seen these addictive behaviors. This whole ritual and culture that was unfolding around vaping, I was like, it's just a matter of time before this is a problem. See, that 2016 law, the Child Nicotine Poisoning Prevention Act, it required child-resistant packaging on the vaping liquid itself, but not on the vaping devices. Contact with a vaping liquid or liquid nicotine, it can cause children to have these experiences. They get dizzy. They pass out, and their blood pressure plummets. All of a sudden, you got a crisis on your hand. A child just limp, passed out, blood pressure's plummeting, or they may start off getting real dizzy. A few drops of liquid nicotine can be fatal for a toddler. Do you think that's worth us knowing in this great country? People don't even think about these things. I have so many studies that come across my desk that get my attention. I'm like, wow, another opportunity, Lord, to provoke thought, bring awareness, and point us together in this great nation towards intervention. Last year, let's look at 2022. Listen to this. This is hot off the press. In 2022, there were 6,731 cases of vaping-related nicotine exposure. It was reported to the Poison Helpline. Production team, go ahead and put that number up there because it's going to be, we're talking about the poisoning of children with liquid nicotine. I want that number to be up there for a while, okay? Because write it down. There's certain numbers I put on my refrigerator. That number being easily accessible may save someone's life. As of June 30th, 2023, this year, poison centers have managed 3,863 exposure cases about e-cigarette devices and liquid nicotine. That's according to the Poison Control Center. Poison centers began receiving calls about e-cigarettes and liquid nicotine in 2011. Okay, it came on the scene. They made this law. What was it, in 2016 they made the law. I think it emerged on the scene, I'm thinking about 2011. I'm thinking it was about 2011. Poison Control Centers started receiving the calls about liquid nicotine and e-cigarettes in 2011, which coincides with the initial period where these products reached the U.S. market. Yes, I was right. It was 2011. So these products often contain a greater concentration of nicotine, the stimulant, than tobacco. So do you see the deceptive flow that people are thinking, oh, well, I'm just going to vape. It'll help me stop smoking. It's got more nicotine than cigarettes do. Some children and toddlers who come in contact with e-cigarette devices or liquid nicotine, they become very ill and they end up in the emergency room. Has a lot to do with healthcare. There they are in the emergency room, and they're vomiting, they're nauseous, they're vomiting, and they're having very significant symptoms. Now, Dr. Ryan Marino, he's a toxicologist. He did an interview with NBC. And he said that refillable vapes are designed to hold liquid nicotine in a central reservoir, making them dangerous to children. If they get a hold to them, it's dangerous. Now, I want to deal with something with more specificity here, and we're gonna take a side journey, but not really. It dovetails together. Parents, we're gonna frame this more. We're gonna frame it more. Okay. The children are not the ones ordering the vape, the device, and the liquid nicotine. Their parents are. The parents are ordering it. So parents who vape should be aware that a very small amount of the liquid nicotine used to refill an e-cigarette, it can kill a child. The liquid also can be poisonous within a matter of minutes if spilled on the skin. People are not paying attention to their children. All I have to do is go to Walmart and I see a parent walking out and they're on their phone and a 2-year-old is walking behind them. A 1-year-old child died from liquid nicotine poisoning in December of 2024. So it came on the scene 2011, 2011, and then in 2014, a 1-year-old died. It was the first death in our great nation related to liquid nicotine. Poison Control Centers now receive thousands of calls each year about young children who have been exposed to vaping-related products. Now, the refills that go in the vaping devices, okay, they're sold in hundreds of different flavors. What flavor you got? I got Tutti Frutti. I got Passion. They just come in all these, and it just becomes a craze. What flavor you got? What you gonna get? I got menthol. I got this. Okay. So these flavors and colors are absolutely appealing to children. Remember when we did the podcast, that's worth going back and looking at how these children are ending up having seizures when they're eating edible cannabis. edible marijuana, where it's chocolate and it's gummy bears and it's colorful. And I showed you, we had the pictures up. These kids are getting a hold of it and parents are not paying attention. It's not under lock and key, and they're ending up in trouble and ending up having seizures and ending up in hospitals. So, Dr. Kyron Quillen, who is the chair of the American Academy of Pediatrics Council on Injury, Violence, and Poison Prevention, Dr. Quillen was bringing attention to this whole thing about how it's so appealing to children, and parents are so distracted in so many ways, they aren't paying attention. We're talking about addiction. We're talking about our children. We're talking about poisoning. Nicotine is a drug. It's incredibly addictive. And this liquid nicotine is far more powerful than the nicotine that's in a cigarette. So Dr. Quillen went on to say that it's such a small quantity, and yet it's so toxic and deadly, according to Dr. Kyron Quillen. Dr. Quillen said, I don't think people realize what a deadly toxin they have in their house when they have liquid nicotine. They don't think about it. We're thinking about it tonight. Anybody, you know anybody that vapes, please share this with them out of concern and love, just so they can be aware, particularly if they have children, because children ages 1 to 2 are at the greatest risk of getting into the product. But parents of children under 5 should be especially cautious. Child-resistant packaging for liquid nicotine refills. As of 2016, the federal government required liquid nicotine to be sold in child-proof packaging. The American Academy of Pediatrics urges parents who use these cigarettes to store the products. You can't have these things laying out on counters, guys. If you know people that are vaping, if you are vaping and you got children, you got grandchildren, we've got to be vigilant. We've got to be vigilant. We have to be the eyes and ears of each other. We've got to look out for each other as we form a more perfect union in this great country of ours. There are 3 routes of exposure that these children are getting. They put it in their mouth, even without swallowing. It can be absorbed into the mucous membranes, just like nicotine gum. They let them get a hold of some gum. Or they just say, I want some chewing gum. They just think they're chewing gum, regular gum. If they swallow it, it will be absorbed in the intestinal tract. This is how they're getting in trouble. And if they spill it on their skin, it's absorbed through the skin, just like a nicotine patch. That's what's happened to some of these kids with fentanyl patches. Kids just naturally put stuff in their mouth. They touch it, they can be gone. They get it in their mouth, they're probably gone. Now, the bottles are sold in various sizes. 10 millimeters is about 2 teaspoons to more than 30 milliliters. 10 milliliters is about 2 teaspoons. 30 milliliters is about 6 teaspoons. And it comes, listen to this. It comes in various nicotine strengths. I know the mind of an addict. You're always looking for that next edge. Nicotine is a drug. Tolerance just makes you push the envelope. And this is how people end up dying. Just one more hit. You know what? Let's combine this with the other. Addictive thinking. Remember that visual I show? Addictive thinking equals addictive behavior equals insanity. And you will convince yourself that you can to have a little bit more. Tolerance of physiological dependence to any addictive substance, you're going to end up having cravings. You're going to have withdrawal. You got to have more to get the desired results. So a teaspoon of concentrated liquid nicotine can be fatal for the average 26-pound toddler. Liquid nicotine. Now, here's the presentation these babies are going to end up having. A lot of times, the adults don't even know what happened. Just like all of a sudden, they're vomiting. They have a fast heartbeat. They're just in a panic with a fast heartbeat. They're vomiting. They're jittery and unsteady. That's how their appearance is presenting. They're having difficulty breathing. And they have increased saliva. Visualize that. You got any toddlers that you know? What do you do? Can you see everybody getting into a tailspin? All of a sudden, that child's vomiting, has a fast heartbeat, jittery, unstable appearance, unsteady, difficulty breathing, and excessive increased saliva. Yeah, this is what is being presented. So there's a rise of e-cigarettes and addictive patterns that are deadly. As e-cigarettes become more and more accessible, these children are going to become adolescents. They're going to become teenagers. They're going to become adults. People don't have a clue what this stuff is doing to their lungs. The FDA has estimated that more than 2 million U.S. middle and high school students use e-cigarettes in 2021, with more than 8 in 10 preferring flavored e-cigarettes. Electronic cigarettes is so cool. They come in the devices. They look sleek, and some of them look like what do you call the things you put in the computer? The flash drive. They look like a flash drive. They look like a cigarette lighter. They just have these little cute presentations. Electronic cigarettes or e-cigarettes, vapes. I want to make a correction. Something just hit me. I think they first appeared in 2007. And then the marketing for it went to an entirely other level in 2011. So it's become more popular than tobacco products. Listen, it's a lot going on here. It's addictive. For teens, nicotine is incredibly addictive. But here's what's going on, too, that we don't think about. The brain development continues through childhood to about age 25. Nicotine exposure to the developing brain can cause addiction. And guess what else it causes? Lung damage. The body sees the nicotine and it doesn't care what form it's delivered in. But why? It's an addictive substance. It's an addictive substance. Nicotine is still the same chemical and poses the same health risks. Even the flavoring in vapes, from cotton candy to fruit and other dessert flavors, is problematic. Flavoring chemicals, specifically diacetyl, that's a common chemical that's found in it, in flavored vaping substances. It is directly connected to severe lung disease. They're smoking, vaping, and it's causing lung disease. And here, I got a revelation for you. You ready? Vaping is not going to help you quit smoking. No, that's a lie. While many tobacco companies claim that vaping can help you quit, it's this here, guys. It's greed. They make money off of people being addicted. They do. While e-cigarettes may be less harmful than cigarettes, they're still addictive. Yeah. When a person is dependent on e-cigarettes or tobacco products, period, their body and their brain have to get used to going without nicotine if they say, well, I'm not going to smoke as much, I'm not going to vape as much. Well, your body's got to get used to it. And this can result in temporary nicotine withdrawal symptoms, including irritability, restlessness, feeling anxious or depressed, trouble sleeping, problems concentrating. And they go, I just got to have it. I got to have it. I got to have it. That's addiction. That's addiction. Not only are the caps child resistant, but the flow of liquid is restricted to only small amounts can be dispensed. However, now, I want to be fair. April Myers of the Smoke-Free Alternatives Trade Association, she represents the vaping industry. They have a constitutional right to operate those companies, as we have a constitutional right to buy it. But do we need to know the chemicals that are in it? Ultra-fine particles that can be inhaled deep into the lungs. Flavorants such as the diacetyl, a chemical linked to serious lung disease, and volatile organic compounds such as heavy metals. Also heavy metals, you have the organic compounds, you have heavy metals like nickel, tin, and lead. That's what's going in the lungs. That's what's going in the lungs. So breathing in the harmful chemicals from vaping can cause irreversible, which means cannot be cured outside of a miracle, lung damage, lung disease, and in some cases, death. 26-pound toddler will be dead if they come in contact with that through ingesting it in their mouth, going in their mucous membranes, going in their intestinal tract, if they swallow it, and if it gets on their skin. It can be a horrible outcome. A horrible outcome. So, suppose you decide, you know what? I want to be here for my family. I want to be here for my children. I think I need to quit vaping. If you or someone that you know wants to quit vaping, surround yourself with supportive people that support you getting free from addiction. This is an addiction. Many people see smoking or vaping, it's just a social activity. I just see how they blow the smoke and the whole thing. If you're trying to quit, be sure to surround yourself with people who are going to encourage you and help you to stay on track. Choose how to quit and talk to your doctor. Get your doctor involved so they can be supportive of you as well. While some users may choose to stop smoking in one day or go cold turkey, your doctor may have some input for you. Get their advice. Let them know what you're going to do, even if you don't agree with what they are recommending for you to do. Also, fill the time. You're gonna have more time on your hand because you're not sitting around smoking, putting those particles and heavy metals in your lungs. You're gonna have more time. So fill the time that you would spend smoking with doing other things. Forming new habits, socializing with new friends. What activities can you do? I'm telling you, when I deal with people in settings, treatment settings, and they come to me and they tell me, Miss Janice, I'm out. I can't do this. Can't do what, sweetheart? What you talking about? I'm leaving treatment. I'm getting ready to go get messed up right now. That's just how it is. Oh, okay. Well, I tell you what. You've grown, and I certainly can't stop you. However, I want to respectfully request that before you pack your bags and leave here, I want you to go on a brisk walk. And as you're walking briskly, let it be 10 to 15 minutes, but I want you to get it up there, okay? Work on getting your heart rate up. And then as you do that, I want to request that you play the whole relapse out. Play the whole relapse out. And as you play the whole relapse out, then I want you to go and I want you to write in your journal what you discovered. What was revealed to you at that time? Let me tell you what, when they went and did that and went and journaled, and came back and processed it with me. I'm talking about weeping, crying people and saying, there's no way I'm going to leave. And they soared. That was the program, the 30-day program. That was the kind of thing I would do with them when 6 months later, they were 87% of them were clean and sober and gainfully employed. Going for a walk, writing in your journal, calling a friend, distracting yourself when you're tempted to relapse. Listen, what have we looked at tonight? Vaping. The children are not the ones firing up those devices. They're the children. And they're getting a hold to this liquid nicotine. They're getting poison. We want to take our families, we want to take our children from destruction to dignity because we're one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. And we have a responsibility to keep our children safe. Good night.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Janice's mission is to provoke thought, bring awareness, and point people towards intervention when needed. As a reminder, this show is not therapy, but for educational purposes only. For more information, check out JanicePons.com or follow her on social media.
Education, affirmation, dedication, information, revelation. A new nation. We are God empowered. Strength is ours. Liberty, been set free. Education, affirmation, dedication.